So we're here with Steve, aka PixxyLixx.
Yeah, or PixxyLixx.
PixxyLixx.
Yeah.
Is that how? Oh, well, there you go.
It's and it's probably good for your audience to know. It's a satire. It's a parody, obviously.
Yeah.
It's and it's a parody of a parody, right? So
Yeah.
There's a band that came out about 8 years ago called Steel Panther.
Yes, I know those guys.
It's a parody band.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
a joke band.
Yeah.
But they're talented. And
Yeah,
they're great.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a tongue-in-cheek
Yeah.
sort of a comedy
Yeah.
act.
It's like 80s metal turned up to 11.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an R-rated version of Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were doing, when I first started on YouTube, they were doing a solo contest that I wanted to enter.
Yeah.
And their bass player is named Lexi Fox.
Yeah.
And I thought it might give me a little edge
Ah.
to have an 80s sounding name rather than just Steve the guitar player, you know,
Yeah.
and just put up, you know, something else. So I came up with a few iterations, and eventually we settled on PixxyLixx because it was sort of like Nikki Sixx and Lexi Fox.
Ah.
And it's just a spoof on all those ridiculous 80s names,
Yeah.
you know, when, you know, Nikki Sixx, you find out, you know, his real name is, I don't know what his real name is, but it's like, you know,
Yeah.
Morty Goldblatt.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming, right? So they're you know, just very, you know, just,
Slash,
yeah, right.
Soul,
They have to come up with some sort of a name, and so that's where the PixxyLixx name
Yeah.
came from. It's just a parody.
Oh,
And
I didn't know
and
that.
What happened is the channel got more popular. I felt sort of chained to it,
Yeah.
and I'm what we call Foo Fighters syndrome right now, and that is you have a name that you're not quite thrilled yet with, but you're
There
stuck
it
with
is,
it
yeah.
because you've sort of it's just that's where it's at. That's what happened.
But I mean, I gotta hand it to you though. It's very memorable, even though I couldn't actually memorize it. Probably, you know, it still kind of rings. You go, oh,
No.
PixxyLixx, yeah.
Also, when you search up, like on YouTube, PixxyLixx, the second you hit that second X in Pixxy, boom,
Yeah.
my name
Yeah.
is still right.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, it's fairly unique,
Yeah.
and it gets me a sort of a very isolated slice in that search window.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you started typing in Steve, there'd
There's
be
gonna
a
be a
million
lot,
Steves
yeah.
that would kill me, you
Yeah.
know, much better, you know, in terms of views
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I mean, Steve, I mean, just the list goes on.
Yeah.
All the guitar players. that would
There's
come
a
up
lot of
before me.
Steve-
Steve Vais,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Steve Satriani. Oh, wait.
They're all named Steve.
You know, look, they should be.
Yeah. It will make things so much easier.
It would
Here's
make
another
things so much
Steve
easier.
signature.
Exactly. And all guitars would be my signature guitar. But,
So how did you get started with the whole? Was that it? Literally that competition?
like playing guitar, or
I was thinking about the YouTube thing.
well, the YouTube thing started as the contest.
Yeah.
I was entering a contest, and you know, I wasn't really even playing all that much guitar. You know, I had a daytime job, and you know, a buddy of mine turned me on to Steel Panther, and they released their album. They had the album release party in my town.
Oh.
Right, like 2 miles from my house.
So you
I
had
couldn't
to-
believe it, so I went to it,
Yeah.
and I got the Feel the Steel album. And they signed it, and they they did a concert, an acoustic set, and they were amazing. And you know, and they did it at a record superstore, like the last record superstore left in America, and it happened to be in my town.
Oh, cool.
And so I was sort of bitten with the bug,
Yeah.
you know, for this band. I was like, wow, you know, I haven't been this excited about a band in a while, and. You know, a buddy of mine said, hey, you know, they're doing a contest. They're doing a solo contest. You should probably enter. And I had seen a couple of the entries, and I said, I probably should enter because I only see like 1 or 2 guys that are like really killing it.
Yeah.
And everybody else was just sort of, you know, okay, you know. And I said, you know, I might have a chance. I actually might have a chance.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, I entered and I didn't win. And the guys who won were really, really good and should have won. You know, they were amazing players, actually. So, but that was sort of the start of it. And when I put the first video out about it, just even talking about the contest, people were like, "Stop talking about the contest. Just play more guitar, like kind of like you're playing."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." So when that was over, you know, there was a little quiet period where I just didn't. I was like, "Well, the concert's over. I mean, the contest is over. You know what?" And then I made a friend on there, And then I felt like, oh, maybe I should put a video up. At least one guy will like it. Right? And then, you know, and it just started going from there. And going from there, going from there. And it just built over the years. And now I've been on there like 7 years pretty steadily. Really, 2010 was when I started steady.
Did you had some kind of, you know, was there some kind of epiphany where you went from like, oh, this is just something I kind of do to kind of noodle about to like, oh, this is...
monetization. I found out you could actually monetize your videos. And I probably could have done that for a couple of years.
Before,
I was just too lazy. Just didn't. Plus, I had a day job that, you know, what did I care? And, you know, YouTube pays very little. It's like a couple of tanks of gas if you're lucky, right? It's not a very high-paying job. Unless you have like a super viral video. But even then, that's a short window. That you know, that's not viral month after month after month.
You have a week
You have
or
like
whatever.
one hit. Maybe 3 weeks if you're lucky. And you know, then it's sort of over. But it really, it was more about the community. It was more about meeting people like, you know, Tom King and Robert Baker and making all these friends. And then it really started getting me back into it again. And I probably put way more time than I should into it. But
I'm sure there's a lot of people who appreciate that time.
Yeah, you know, it's certainly a labor of love and not money. But, you know, it is what it is, and you know, I'm sure people on there do really well, but they tend to be not as niche as just guitar playing. You know, it's something like, you know, wacky fall videos. Or, that's the stuff that gets out there and gets really big. The viral stuff.
As soon as you start narrowing down your audience,
you narrow down your views. You know, unless you like, you know, clonk a famous person over the head with a guitar, right?
Well, there's always that.
There's always that. Right? Some, you know,
find somebody named Steve and clonk him over the head.
Yeah, exactly. Use a guitar to hammer in something, you know, like a hammer a nail in. You have to get like ridiculous. Those videos tend to do really well, but it's not what I'm into. It feels, you know, just too light, too camp, you know.
So how did you get started playing guitar then? Because, you know, you talked about Steel Panther, and, you know, while we've been talking and doing tour prints and stuff, I noticed there's a pretty big 80s influence in your playing.
So I'm an older guy, and I started playing when I was really young. We used to have these like little rubber dart guns that it was a plastic dart with a rubber cup. And in theory, you could like hit it against, like blast it against a piece of glass, and it would stick to the glass. It never did. It just like bounced off to the. It's like the lamest toy ever. But a friend of mine shot my sister in the eye with it by accident. No. He was shooting, and she just walked through the door and happened to get it like point blank range right in her eye. And so took her to the hospital. She was fine, right? No problem at all. And nothing wrong with it. But they just wanted to take a look at it. And my dad brought her home a guitar while she was in the hospital. And I was like, oh, what the hell is this?
What do I have to do to shoot myself in the eye?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, she gets a guitar? You know, what is this? And of course, you know, I'm like playing it, and I, you know, maybe she doesn't need this. And she was only in the hospital one day, but that's like I had that the one day, like I had the guitar, and she had to come home the next day, and I had to announce that it was her guitar. So my parents were like, well, if you want lessons, we'll get you both lessons. And so she got, that was over the summer. And then when the fall came, they brought a guy in who would drive to our house.
Oh, really?
$4. That was what we paid for a lesson, $4 for a half-hour private lesson. And he drove to our house to get that $4.
Wow.
And yeah, and I took lessons for like 4 years. So I started at age 6.
Same guy drove to
my house for 4 years.
Wow.
And I took lessons. And we would take summers off. And he was straight out of the Mel Bay book. You know, and it was all like reading notation and stuff. And I actually found some of my old books and looked back. He was pretty vicious.
Yeah?
Well, you know, I'm looking at the dates. I'm like 7, 8, 9 years old.
Okay, and you were like...
And he's writing like terrible in like all caps.
Oh, wow.
Exclamation point, like awful on other pages.
Ouch.
And I'm like, I just looking back, I was like, I guess I sort of rolled with it, but
I'm surprised you stuck with it, because I know, I know kids that age. If you a tiny little, a little bit of, criticism, or you don't feel that it's going the right way, you go like, oh, screw this, I'm out of here.
Well, first of all, I probably agreed with him. I probably like, yeah, that was pretty terrible, and secondly, I was really enamored with the guitar, because of a program on American television called Hee Haw, and it was a Southern-produced show, and it was like a lot of country acts, and they would bring on like Jerry Reed and Roy Clark, and Roy Clark and Jerry Reed would do all these duets, and I really loved Roy Clark, and that guy, he really got me going. I want to play guitar. I want to be like Roy Clark, and so that's why I didn't give it up, because I didn't care. It's like, whatever. We'll just do it again. And you can see he would write the same week, like week after week after week. He would write the date in. And so I could see like one piece we would do like for maybe 4 weeks, or 5 weeks. He'd write the date in on that, and then we'd move on to another piece. You could see the later date. He'd say, okay, now we can move on from this one, move on to something else. So I did that for a while, and then, I think I got 10 years old, and he decided he didn't want to come back. He never showed back up again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
but he did his duty for 4 years.
Yeah, he did his duty for 4 years, and he was a teacher. I mean, he was out doing it. And then, he just, like any musician, he probably switched something up or got a job, did something else, or a steadier gig. And he never came back. And I played baseball for a year or two, whatever. And probably didn't play the guitar all that much for maybe 2 years, 3 years. And then I became a teenager. And boy, your attitude towards instruments really changes once you like discover music. So now I'm getting into Black Sabbath and Van Halen, and of course all these guitar-related riffs. I mean, we'll just do like I'm hearing that, and this is like an epiphany for me, coming from like Roy Clark, and I'm going to like an all-Catholic school, in Boston, and a buddy of mine's like, you want to check out Black Sabbath? And I'm like, sounds like an interesting band. And he gave me a cassette of We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, which was their greatest hits. And I ran right out and bought a copy, and that really was the changing point. And then I got back into it. And that's when I really got serious about it. And, I was probably 13, 14 years old, somewhere around there. It's been like that ever since.
So you spent some years doing your woodshedding with all the, the Van Halen style.
Yeah, so I wound up really getting into it. And I thought in high school I was going to go to Berkeley. And I did go to Berkeley while I was in high school, between my junior and senior years.
Oh, really?
Berkeley offered a program called Career Exploration, and you could go there, and they'd give you a little bit of everything. They'd give you a little time in the studio, and you get a weekly lesson. You do a couple of ensembles, do a little bit of performance, ear training, music theory. And they just sort of mixed it up. It was like 8 weeks, or 6 weeks. I think it was 8 weeks, and then and that made me say, well, maybe I'll go on and I'll go to college and and do all this kind of stuff. But I went to college, but not for music. So I think it was one of those things where I was still into it, and I wanted to play, but I probably didn't see it as a viable means of raising a family, right? Even though I wasn't thinking like that back then, I didn't see it as a viable means of paying apartment rent, I suppose, right? And so I just went to regular school, regular college, and went out and did that. Got a normal, sort of non-music job, and did that for a long time. And, but this has sort of brought me full circle back again. The whole YouTube thing has sort of really brought it back around, and it's different. I think when you're getting together with a group of people, and you're going out and you're gigging for 25 people in a room, well, if you're lucky, or 30 people in a room, and then you go on YouTube and you do a live show, and you've got 450 people watching.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you know, they're not all in one room.
No, but they're there.
But they're there.
Yeah.
You know, so the reach is just so much larger, and it's so much easier for people, and you know, it just seems to be something that's really facilitated my return to playing guitar, and now I'm having more fun than ever.
Cool. So do you have any big plans for the channel? Any new things or?
Well, I'm always announcing new plans and never following them. So,
let's have another one then.
Yeah, let's have another one. So we, you know, let's say hello to the What's Up Dude dancers, right? So we, you know, I think I'm going to try, if I can, to set up more shows. Right now it's just so, you know, get a piece of gear, go on and review it. You know, if I want to talk about something, I'll go on and talk about it, you know. But there's no real structure to it. I think I'd be better off to like name some stuff, you know, you know, guitar tech, and just talk about technology aspects.
Specific.
Right. You know, riff of the week, and just do a guitar thing, and keep it like lesson oriented, and just so when people go on and when they see it, they know what they're getting, rather than having to sit through a video for a couple of seconds and say whether or not this is something they're even interested in. So I think that would probably be my, at least in the short term, a good goal would be to come up with some shows that are sort of like named.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks so much for doing the tone print and for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And for hanging out here at GitCon.
Yeah. Oh, and just one other thing. I am working on my first EP.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You heard it. Maybe you heard it first here. Maybe you didn't.
You might have heard it here first. But it's slow going.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully after one, the next will be easier.
Yeah.
Because this one's taking forever. But it's in the works.
Oh, that's exciting. Who do we have playing on it?
I'm going to have a few YouTube friends playing on it. You know, with any luck, I'll have, you know, Robert Baker and a buddy of mine, PDX Guitar Freak, who's an amazing guitar player, and I really recommend. Yeah. And anyone else who'd love to play on it, I'd be happy to have
cool.
on. So.
Well, we're most certainly looking forward to that, and best of luck.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.